Alright, so we have the last section, which we're going to do is quadratic inequalities. So I'm going to start at number 41. I have negative 1/2 x minus 3 x plus 5 less than or equal to 6. Now what you can do is you can plug this in a y1 and this in a y2, and it'll give you a really nice picture. So just kind of watch for a sec. Let me show you. You don't have to do this, but anytime you get an inequality, you can plug it in your calculator. So I have negative 1/2 x minus 3 and x plus 5. So x plus 5. You don't have to FOIL it, guys, or do anything. And then the other guy is 6. So I'm going to write 6 for y2 and then graph it. It's probably going to be a little bit funky, so I need to go back to my regular window. To go back to your regular window, you're going to hit the zoom button and then go to zoom standard, hit enter, and that'll get you back to the normal window. Alright, so I have this here. I have my graph, and so they want you to find where these two lines intersect. This is y2. So I'm going to draw a little sketch here. So my graph kind of looks like this, and then I have this line right here. This is y equals 6. So I want to figure out what are these two intersection points. So I'm going to do second trace, intersect. Now it says first curve. I want to make sure my spider is somewhere on the parabola, and it is. It doesn't matter where, just make sure it's there, hit enter. And the second curve, I just want to make sure it's somewhere on the line, doesn't matter where, just hit enter. And then I'm going to guess. So I'm going to scroll to the intersect point, hit enter. And there's my intersect point. This is at negative 3, 6. And now I'm going to do the same thing for the right side. So second trace, intersect. First curve, just make sure you're somewhere on the parabola. Second curve, make sure you're somewhere on the line. And then guess. I'm going to guess right about here. And then 1, 6. The reason why you have to hit enter twice, guys, is because you can enter more than 2 functions or equations in your calculator. So the calculator just wants to make sure that it's finding the intersection points of the right curves or the right lines. Okay, so I have that. Now the first thing that the question asks is, what are the x-intercepts? Now it's asking, what are the x-intercepts here? Now you could look at the graph right here and do the same thing. I would have to put y equals 0 for my third function. But the easiest way for this one, guys, to tell what your x-intercepts are is look up here. This is already factored for you. That was a whole factoring test unit last couple weeks. So this tells us right now, if I set this left side equal to 0, x minus 3, sorry, it's supposed to be a 3, x plus 5, this tells me what are my zeros. So negative 1/2, that doesn't make sense. X minus 3 equals 0, and x plus 5 equals 0, so my zeros are 3 and negative 5. So this right here, this is negative 5, and this right here is 3, positive 3. So my x-intercepts are going to be 3, 0 and negative 5, 0. That's what they ask you. Now it's asking what is the vertex. The vertex is either your max or your min, your highest point or lowest point. In this case it's a mountaintop. This is a max because it looks like a mountain. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go try to figure out what this point is by using my calculator. I'm going to go second trace, and since it's a maximum, I'm going to click on maximum. Now the calculator is going to say left bound. I need to go left of the vertex, so move your spider somewhere left. See how that's left? It's up here. I'm going to hit enter, and then the calculator says right bound, so I'm going to move the calculator to the right. Hit enter, and that's going to say guess, so it's kind of hard to see, but I'm going to guess it's somewhere right in the middle, so up here. And this is not a very good view. It's a little boggle down. So I get negative 0.999999. That's the same thing as negative 1. So negative 1, comma 8. There we go. And now I'm trying to figure out, where does the parabola, what is the y-intercept? So where does the parabola intersect the y-axis? Now, you could look at your calculator, look at your table. The easiest way I would do it, guys, is, remember, if you want to find the y-intercept, you let x equal 0. So this is the equation of my parabola that they gave me. So I'm just going to plug in 0 for x. Again, you can also look at your table and see where your x is 0. But I just like doing algebra because I think it's quicker. So you get negative 1/2. 0 minus 3 is negative 3. 0 plus 5 is 5. These are all over 1. So a negative times a negative is a positive. 5 times 3 is 15. 2 times 1 is 2. And then 15 halves is 7.5. So this right here is 7.5. So my y-intercept is 0, 7.5. Alright, so last thing it's going to ask me is, it says point. It has a point 2, and then it has a blank on your review. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and look at my table. When my table is 2, right? Right here, 2. What is my y value? My y value is 3.5. So at 2, it's at 3.5. About right there, it's about 3.5. Now the last thing it says is, what is the solution set for the inequality? So what that's asking, guys, is, this is the parabola, right? This part's your quadratic, your parabola. And this is your line, y equals 6. It is asking, where is your parabola less than or equal to the line? In this case, less than or equal to, you're looking at your y values. So less than or equal to means below. What part of your parabola is below the line? So if you have your line here, is a part of your parabola above or below? It's going to be below. So your answer is this part of your parabola right here. So this is an or versus an and would be up here. If it was 1 unit, this is an or. Why? Because there's a break. Do you see how I shaded this part right here? I had to pick up my pen to shade this part, and I had to pick up my pen to shade this part. This was an or. And remember, because it said less than, the part that's underneath the line made me shade this. So that's why this is an or. So if I want to write my answer, I'm going to do set notation first. So I have x, and this is my negative x, so I'm going to do the domain. So I'm going to say x is less than or equal to negative 3, or, and then I'm going to do the domain of this section right here. My x's are getting bigger. So this is going to be x is greater than or equal to, what's this point? Positive 1. So that's my answer in set notation. For interval notation, my answer is going to be, since there's a break, I'm going to go from negative, because this is going forever this way, negative infinity, parentheses, because it never actually reaches infinity, all the way to this value, which is negative 3, bracket, and then I have a break, so you're going to write the U for union, and then I start again. Where do I start? At positive 1. So I have 1, and then it's going this way forever. This is towards your positive x values, so 1 to infinity, parentheses. Now you use infinity to denote the arrow, and you use parentheses because you can never actually reach infinity. It is an expression, not an actual value. Alright, that's it guys. Good luck on your test.